Alright, so I'm going to attempt to show how to open up and disassemble this HP Pavilion laptop model 14. Sorry, the hinge is broken. So this is a model 14-CE1056WM. Alright, so it is a bit tricky to remove the front. This piece had a broken hinge, so I'm trying to take out the screen. The screen got damaged. Anyways, the bezel is like this, and there's this plastic piece that goes under. So this is just like every other bezel removal. So if you wanted to see how this, I kind of already took it out, but basically just like every other one, you kind of, let me see if I can get this in view, but the thing will be, let me snap it, some of it back in. So the bezel will be like this, snapped in. You basically want to pull this inside part out, and then push this side down. So while you're kind of lifting it up, you want to pull it down just like this. Okay, so that's how you kind of undo the clips. And you just go all the way around. The bottom side here has a strong adhesive, so you will need a pry tool or something thin that you can kind of slide along the inside to undo that adhesive. And then when you get to this bottom part, it's a little tricky. So you have to have the screen slightly open, and then you can form, I don't know if I can show this, but you can get a little gap going under here where the back hinges, and you can pop this up with a pry tool or your fingernail. Once you unclip all of those, then you can just pull the frame up and out. Okay, so the screen's difficult to remove. I'm gonna have to actually remove the bottom and disconnect the battery first just to be safe. Alright, so usually when I work with screens, I like to hang the screen off the edge of my desk. And what you do, there's two rubber covers here holding these two screws in place. To remove these two screws, you need a pH1. And then to remove the three screws up in the front here, you need a pH0. Okay? So once you remove all those screws, let's see here. This model looks like it'd be easier to use a suction cup. Let's see. I haven't popped this open yet, so let's just try it. Nope, it doesn't look like it wants to come out. Let's see on this side. Wow, this cover is very strong. So you'll likely need to use some very good thin pry tools. While I'm kind of pulling this up with the suction cup, I can kind of get my fingernail in there, but it's very tough. So let's see how we'll do this. It looks like from the front you have to kind of pry it. Okay, I need to clean off the adhesive from my pry tool. Alright, so let's get the pry tool in if we can. Sorry, my head's in the way. Alright, let's see here. So, I don't know, it doesn't want to pop up. So, this is a pretty tricky one to get into. It doesn't want to pop open anyways. Okay, let's see, what about the front? Nope, there's nothing on the top, so it does need to pop out from this side. But it doesn't want to, so let's try to pull this up and get the pry tool in there. Okay, so while I'm pulling this up, I can kind of get my pry tool in here, but it still doesn't want to come up or anything. So I'm wondering how I'm going to get this case off. Let's see here. Because there's three screws on the front, you most likely have to pry up that side first, but it's very difficult. Okay, I got the tool. It's going in. Let's see, my fingernails are in as well, but it doesn't want to pop up at all. That's very interesting. My fingernail got stuck. Okay, so I don't know how they're holding this whole thing together, because it doesn't want to come out at all. These clips are super strong. What about the center? Nothing. Geez, so if you are going to attempt this, it is going to be very difficult. I don't know if there's a trick to it. I can't even close the screen because the hinge is broken. So I'm going to have to find a way to do this. Let's see. I'm going to kind of have it off camera a little bit. Let's see if I can pry this up from here. There we go. Okay, so we do have to kind of pry this piece. It looks like you have to use a bit more force. I was being too nice. Okay. Once you do that, go around to the sides. Hopefully the clips aren't getting damaged. Okay, yeah, it looks like it comes out. Alright, so basically once you get it started, you can go around the sides and kind of pry this up. Don't put the pry tool too far inside because you don't want to pry on the motherboard itself. Okay, just be careful. Okay, start getting over to this side. Let's pry this as well. Oh, it looks like I kind of need to have it tilted up so I can push the pry tool forward more. So when you get the pry tool in, you want to kind of pull it forward this way, but it was hitting the desk. That's why I couldn't do it in camera view. Okay. So now you got that. Lift it up. Okay. Again, you don't want to put the tool too far because you can damage the board. Okay, just like this. Alright, it's popping up now, not too bad. Alright, let's see here. There most likely are clips in the middle. It's at a weird, awkward angle, so I don't know if I'll be able to do this in camera, especially because the screen's broken. If your screen isn't broken, it'll probably be easier, but kind of gotta wiggle this because the middle has some strong clips in there. Let me see if I can pull the clips out with this. Okay, that worked. So the suction cup works for releasing the clips in the center. Okay. Alright, now these clips on the side are still engaged, so we need to pop this back out. Okay. Actually, they're not engaged, it's this clip in the middle. So, I don't know, these clips on this MacBook, on the HP laptops now are getting quite tricky to remove. Let's see if I can remove the back part. Nope. Okay, I am probably going to have to try and close the screen and just be very careful. Let's see here. Can I close the screen without... Yeah, the hinge is going to pop out if I close the screen. Okay, I got it. Alright, so hopefully your screen isn't destroyed like this one, because that made it a lot harder. Okay, so once we got that, we can go around. Okay, it looks like they bent this when they dropped it or something, so this part is kind of bent outwards. Let's see here. Wow, these clips are really strong. I don't know. HP's using now less screws and more clips, so it's kind of tricky. Okay, there we go. I pushed the cover forward this way towards the hinges, and then it released the middle clip. Now let's see about the clip towards the hinges in the back. Man, that's stuck really strong. Let's see if I can get the pry tool in there. Oh, I got it. Alright, there we go. Yeah, you can kind of pry it and then pry it up this way. There we go. Alright. Hopefully that's all the clips. These clips got stuck again. I think it's this side clip. Oh, there we go. Right, so there we go. We got the cover off. Everything looks okay. The clips are intact, so yep, looks good. They just designed it in a way that made it difficult. Alright, so first thing you want to do after you get it open, disconnect the battery. Make sure you're using a PH1 or J1. Alright. Disconnect the screw. Alright. Just like that. Getting a bunch of messages right now. I don't know if I can keep recording. They might start calling soon. Alright, so take out those screws. You got 3 along the top, and then you got 2 on the corners on the bottom. Alright, make sure you put a lot of pressure when undoing the screws. You don't want the screwdriver to skip out and then get stripped, and then you can't take it out at all. So there's the battery. Battery model number is HT03XL. Okay, so if you need to replace the battery, that's that. All right, I'm actually going to take the screen out because the hinge is broken, but to be safe, what you want to do is always press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds after disconnecting the battery, just to drain any power. All right. Okay, so I'm just holding that. All right, once you drain any power, I am gonna disconnect the screen. So to disconnect the screen, there's the wireless antennas. Just pull it up from the tails, just like that. All right, guide the wires out. Okay, what else do we got here? We got the LCD connector here. So flip up this little latch, and then you can pull this cable out. All right, they did run some tape along the top, so just be careful with that. You do have to peel that off. It looks like those are the only two connections there. And then we got to disconnect the screws for the hinge. So there's two back here on this side. Okay, so remove those screws. And then there's two going side by side on this side. Okay, so I'll remove that screw. Remove this screw. So the middle one doesn't have a screw. Okay. I am going to try and lift up the, let's see here, okay. I am going to try and lift up the hinge while it's closed using a T8 screwdriver. So I just insert it in the screw hole and then kind of pry it up. Just a little. This one has the broken hinge, so I want to be careful. This side, since it's not broken, what I do is I lift up the thing slightly. That way it pulls up the hinge, and then I can use the screwdriver, same thing. This is a T8 bit, but you can use anything that fits okay. All right, once we got that, I'm gonna separate the screen from the rest of the laptop. Okay, all right, so there we go. We got the screen assembly out. I'm gonna set that aside for now. And then let's go over the parts that are in here. So this looks like, is it labeled here? It doesn't say what type of SSD it is. I don't know if this supports PCIe NVMe. If you want to look up what type this is, the part number, the HP part number is L18509-001. The Toshiba model number is KBG30ZMV256G. So there's a 256 gig drive. They don't specify SATA or M.2 PCIe NVMe. It might be SATA because there's two notches. So usually when it has two little notches in the front, it's more often SATA type. But sometimes they do have PCIe ones that are like that as well. The RAM is 8 gig PC4 2666V. So if you wanted to change the RAM, you can. I believe there are 16 gig sticks, though 8 gigs is plenty for most people. I only see one stick of RAM. If you want to remove the wireless card, there's one screw holding it in place. It'll come out just like the RAM at an angle. You just pull it out. Same thing with the SSD. You got this board with the USB ports. I don't know what this small little, oh, I guess that's the lock. And that's for like if you're locking it down. And then the headphone jack is all on this one board with this cable. So if you damage these, you can replace it. Everything else is soldered to the board. The CPU is soldered to the board. You can't upgrade the CPU. You can't upgrade GPU. People keep asking those questions for laptops. And then the charge port is replaceable. To remove these, you just take the wings and you just kind of keep wiggling it like this, and eventually it will pull out. But yeah, the charge port is replaceable. You got one speaker here and one speaker here. It looks like the speaker cable runs underneath the board to this speaker, and then they both plug in here. Same thing with that connector. You kind of just wiggle it and it'll pop out, and same with the fan connector. The fan you can remove. It looks like there's 3 screws. Keyboard connectors here. To remove these, you just flip this little latch up and then you can pull the cable out. I'm going to leave it connected. You got the keyboard backlight cable. You got the trackpad cable, and then you got this cable for the SD card slot. And then here looks like you can fit a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive or SSD, but you do need a special adapter, I think, to plug into this little port here. That's pretty much all there is to this computer or this laptop. The keyboard is held in place with melted plastic and this metal bracket, so if you wanted to replace the keyboard, you'd want to replace this whole palm rest assembly and just transfer the board and everything over. But yeah, that's all there is to this. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to the screen. Okay, so we got the screen here. So this plastic bezel piece looks like it's all broken. I don't think it'll be reusable. But as far as removing the screen, so this hinge is supposed to be in here, but as you can see, the design's not very good. The plastic broke, and now the screen hinge is just broken. But anyways, to remove the screen, there are these stretchable adhesives underneath. If you see this white part under here, so you need to use like a needle or something that you can scrape underneath, and then once you can pull the adhesive up, you can peel it out. This kind of adhesive is the way they designed it. It's very difficult to reuse. You'll probably have to get a new adhesive. But anyways, you lift up the adhesive, and once you get a hold of part of it, okay, you can probably use like tweezers or pliers to help with this. But once you get a hold of the adhesive, you just pull it parallel. Don't try and pull it straight up. You want to pull it back, straight back, parallel to the screen. Okay, this will prevent it from tearing. And this is how it, basically the adhesive, as it stretches, it releases so that it no longer sticks. If you keep the adhesive completely flat, you might be able to reuse it. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so here you can see the adhesive is coming out. Try and keep it from sticking to itself, because if it sticks it to itself, you're most likely going to have to toss it out. Alright, so the adhesive just comes out just like that. You just have to keep peeling. Oh man, see, it sticks to it. Once it sticks to itself, it's very difficult to separate. So most likely I might not be able to reuse this. We will see. Okay, sometimes you can reuse it just by cutting out the parts that stuck to itself, and then you can reuse that. This is a very thick piece of this tape, so usually they don't put this thick of a layer. So just peel it out just like that. Jeez, this one is super sticky. Alright, just like that. Okay, feels like it's about to release, so you'll have to back up a little bit. Alright, there we go. So there's the adhesive strip. A lot of it stuck together, so probably can't reuse much. Oh, okay, it came apart. So if you can unstick it, then that's good. You can reuse it. Just try and make sure it stays flat. So here you can see some of it stuck together, and then it tore itself when I tried to separate it. But yeah, this adhesive, a lot of times you can reuse it. Just keep in mind again that if it is curled up on itself, you want to cut those pieces off. Okay. Right, so we got that adhesive out. Same thing with this side. The hinge is a little bit in the way, but it's not on top of the adhesive, so you can peel it up while the hinge is still in place. So you don't have to remove the hinges. Alright, so again, you want to try and pull it flat if you can. One way that helps is you can kind of use your other finger to kind of pull it out like this. So that way, even though you're not pulling it parallel, your finger that pulls it, you pull it parallel with your finger, and it'll slowly come out. So just like that. Okay, I'll change my grip here, and then you just keep doing this to keep the adhesive parallel that you're pulling it out. Okay, or you can guide it underneath the hinge as well, but this works really well. Okay. Okay. Now I'm like playing this like a guitar. I can hear it like a guitar. Okay. So just keep pulling it like that. The adhesive is coming out. Oops, I stuck it to the hinge. Just like this. So here you can see the screen is coming up. Okay, I might have to actually guide it underneath the hinge because it's pulling up the whole thing. So let's pull this underneath the hinge. Okay. The tough part is now the whole screen is moving around, so I'm gonna try and do it like this if I can. Okay, I think it's almost released. Try and keep it from sticking to itself. Okay, there we go. Oops, now I got a lot of it that stuck to itself. So it's slingshotted out and now it's all stuck to itself. But as you can see, this adhesive, as you stretch it, it unsticks. So it's not very, the unstickiness doesn't work very well on itself. It only works on other solid surfaces. So if you get it stuck to itself, you're most likely going to have to just cut that section off, because as you can see, I'm trying to separate it and it just tore. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll cut off that unusable portion. Alright, just like this. Just cut off that unusable portion and you can reuse the rest of it. Okay. Alright, the screen doesn't need to be completely 100% stuck down, so you don't need to worry if you're cutting off some of it. So I'm cutting off a bit more. As long as you have enough to kind of hold it to keep it in place. Okay, so we got that. Alright, cut some more of the other one that I accidentally got stuck together as well. So yeah, if you're doing this, just know there's a very good chance that you're not going to be able to recover the adhesive strip perfectly, and that's okay. As long as you have a little bit, and as long as you have a part to grab that you can pull it out to remove it later. So if you ever need to release the adhesive. Okay, so there we go. And you don't want like any bits that are folded on itself underneath the screen, because it can put pressure on the back and that can cause problems. But anyways, once you get that, so if you didn't have a broken hinge, you probably could have just left the whole screen assembly in the laptop. You didn't have to take this whole piece out. But anyways, there you go. You can see the back. Just like every other screen replacement, you basically peel up this plastic tab that's holding it in place, and then you can pull the connector back. The model number of the screen is LP140WFA, and then in parentheses SP, and then C1. So if you need to replace the screen, there is, hopefully you can read that, there's the model number. So that's pretty much all there is to it. When you put the screen back, put the adhesive first, make sure that it's going past the area here so that you can actually pull it back up if you need to, and then just reconnect the screen and drop it in. But that's pretty much all there is to it. Just snap everything back in place, do everything in reverse. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe, because that'll help others find my video and it'll help me. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right.